your buddy Peace and Harmony here with you here today. I am going to be covering what I feel is one of the really most important topics when it comes to understanding the narcissist. And that has to do with narcissist splitting. The biological basis, the physiology behind a lot of their behavior, their perceptions, their thought patterns. And I think it'll help clarify for you, some of their treatment, why they treat people the way that they do. And it will help explain some of their behaviors. It won't be able to change what they've done or, how they've treated you, but I think it'll provide you some really great insight into the disorder itself in both the narcissist and the psychopath. So here goes. The concept of splitting has to do with a separation in the mind, or what we call cognitive dissonance in the mind of the narcissist or psychopath. And remember, these people who we're dealing with here, they have a personality disorder, as can be determined by the DSM-3R. They meet specific qualifications, certain characteristics which put them into that category. And that category, it just means on the spectrum of normal to abnormal, they're off of the normal scale and into the abnormal range. And if you've encountered some suffering and confusion, dysfunction with what you're now feeling as a narcissist or a psychopath, you will now have witnessed and you will know for yourself that there's something a little bit off or not right about this person. Even though their appearance of being, successful, wealthy, good-looking, charming, able to function in a lot of manners, there's certain disorders in their personality which cause them to treat people the way that they did. And I'm sorry if you've been hurt by a narcissist or a psychopath. Certainly not a fun experience, but can be broadening. And of course, as I've discussed, it's very important in order to protect yourself to really go no contact from these people. I know you have a big heart, you would love to stick around, you love to, maintain the relationship. However, it's really just not very feasible or possible with these people. Anyway, the concept of splitting in the narcissist is very important to understanding how and why they treat you the way that they do, and I think it'll explain kind of some of the disorder. A narcissist and a psychopath, which is an even greater degree on the same spectrum, a little bit more intense, there's a specific wiring in their brain. They do have physical differences in their brain when they've gone through brain scans of these people. And they have found that there are certain networks or certain areas in their brain which do not activate or turn on in the same way that those of a normal person. And this has often to do within their areas of perception. And it has also to do in areas of their memory. And also, in terms of their, as I mentioned, their perception of an event, person, or situation, their brains don't kind of, for lack of a better word, light up the same way as that of a normal brain. And a lot of this has to be considered, which is called either or thinking, or kind of what we call black and white thinking. It's either or, it's yes or no, there's no shades of gray. Now, most people, let's talk about the normal person first. Most people can look at things in a shade of gray, meaning that, they can see both the positive and negative in things simultaneously. In other words, let's just use a basic example. You're going to a carnival. It's a lot of fun, there's a lot of excitement, there's music, there's lights, there's fun rides, it can be fun and thrilling. That's the positive aspect of going to a carnival. The negative aspect might be, well, it's expensive, it's dangerous, it's kind of disgusting, maybe it's dirty. That is our ability to hold kind of two different perceptions simultaneously within our mind. And this is, it originates within the brain, within the mind, and it's a characteristics of being able to see both the positive and negative of a situation, two sides of a coin, two sides of a scale, if you will. And this holds true in terms of our perceptions of people, events, foods, you name it. the steak was juicy, it was a little bit too big, in terms of just, different experiences that we have, whether it's perception of a person, whether we like them, whether we dislike them, we're able to kind of simultaneously hold those two and kind of mesh and kind of integrate those two concepts together. And it is what it is. It's just like when you have a friend who you really like. They're fun to be with. You guys joke around, you laugh, you go places, you can tell them things you can't tell other people. You like the way that they dress. You guys relate to each other. You've been there for each other in hard times. You really like this person. Maybe there's certain things about them that aren't the greatest. They have a very dirty house, or, they overwork. Maybe they have certain limitations about them, but you just accept it. And that's a good example of being able to merge both the positive and negative. And it's not black or white thinking. You have shades of gray. You like this person. And also, if you dislike somebody, well, that's when the negatives outshadow the positives. This person is evil, this person steals, this person lies, this person is mean to me, this person is too loud, this person smokes, they're very unhealthy. Those are negative qualities, and, that you don't value, and that therefore you might not like that person. So that is what we call integrated thinking, in a balance of, positive and negative, and we're able to think in those shades of gray. The narcissist and the psychopath, on the other hand, they do not really have that same psychological ability. They engage in what is called splitting, or cognitive dissonance, where they have very much black or white thinking, either or thinking. And this has to do a great deal with their perception of events, with people, with circumstances, as well as within their memories. For example, they are not able to switch off that alternate side of their mind when they're perceiving a person or a situation. For example, you've got the narcissist who is in a relationship with you and things are hot and heavy, things are going great. Everything is positive, everything is rosy. It's just, there's nothing negative about it. It's just absolutely peachy keen. It is just what you've always dreamed of, what you've always wanted. And then, you find out, you're like, this is so perfect. And then you find out the next day, he's dating, he's flirting with somebody else. He completely ignores you. You're totally confused. You're like, what the heck? And then you kind of like, whoa, what's going on? You try to get their attention. And then they kind of jog back into you. What's taking place is the concept of splitting. Not your mind literally being split physically in half, but the fact that their brain, their mind, tends to separate in an either-or situation to a very pronounced degree. So in other words, even though you just had this incredible time, it would make sense to get back together. It would make sense to really develop this relationship. You guys have a lot of fun. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. That's the positive area of the brain going on in the narcissist or the psychopath. Yet, in their memory, it's kind of, they have no emotional tie. They have no emotional integration. And so they kind of like let that go. And, the next day, that's why they don't have that same sort of connection, humanity, relationship building experience to them, because literally that part of their brain is switched off and they no longer have that emotional attention to their memory. Now, it does not mean that they don't have a memory. It just means that they have switched that off. They're not accessing it the way that most people do. And, then they have a capacity then to turn it off totally. In other words, and see you as completely negative and start treating you in a specific way, that is very negative, and you feel out of character and you didn't deserve this, and why is this happening? And why am I blaming myself? How can I, what could I have done? And then that's why you're trying to take responsibility for all the issues and hurt and abandonment in the relationship. And this is called splitting. And if you've ever seen this taking place, for example, with a psychopath, you might have, you know, had a tremendous fight. I mean, really, really all-out fight. And then half an hour later, they're, you know, they just have no emotional recollection of the whole event. I mean, it's a very strange phenomenon to witness. Likewise, you know, with a narcissist, that's why they can go hot and cold very quickly. You know, you think that they're, you know, in the, you know, we're getting along phase, we're in the getting along great phase, everything is positive, and all of a sudden, you know, there goes the switch, and then they're on to berating you, judging you, criticizing you, and you can literally feel their hostility pushing you out. It's a very strange and confusing experience to go through an abusive, to keep going through that as a loved one, and that becomes the reason for no contact, because this abuse is going to, you know, continue to be unmonitored, and it's just going to continue to, you know, really, you know, get worse as that person gets older, unfortunately. So, I mean, it is what it is, as they say. But, you know, oftentimes, you know, we're striving to understand that, and I hope that this kind of explains what is going on. And, you know, it also kind of explains why they really lack that emotional connection to people. They don't seem to stand up for very many values, their kids, their loved ones. They just seem to abandon them. And what's very ironic is that these people, the narcissist and the psychopath, you know, they generally feel in the psychological community, the psychology community, which I have studied, is that, you know, within these people's childhood, there was probably a traumatic event where they were, you know, also raised by a caregiver who was also simultaneously had a fear and a nurturing, you know, their nurturing figure had an element of fear, maybe abuse as well, and they have repressed this to such a degree that they really don't, they're not conscious of it, and they are really ultimately very afraid of abandonment, and really insecure inside for that. And it's very strange that, ironic even, that someone who's so afraid of abandonment just alienates those people who, you know, should be and deserving of good treatment. So I hope this video helps. Please share, and please like and subscribe for more informative videos, support, and discussion. Peace out. Have a great day.